Going on, folks? We are here and we're back, and I think it's the first time that we've ever all been on screen together.
Yeah.
Welcome to Quick Dip. Tonight we have a super special show for you.
Who's the new guy?
Before we get into all that, make sure that you like, share, subscribe. Just let your friends, your family, your enemy, everyone, let them all know that we're diving in to Zack Snyder's filmography tonight. Something I've personally wanted to do for so long. And with Army of the Dead coming out, we figured what better way to pay homage to our favorite director than discussing his deep, great, epic, beautiful, any other good word that you can think of, his gorgeous films. I think there's one of us here that may just not know what film is or how it's made,
like his beautiful career,
or what is actually a good movie is. But besides that,
Sucker Punch.
Besides that, let's go around the table and say hello. How's everyone doing?
Howdy.
I'm doing great. I'm excited to do this. I know Justice is a huge Snyder fan, so I can't wait to hear his input.
Can't wait. I'm so excited. You guys know just how much I really adore this man and every beautiful piece of film he's ever done, because I understand film. I know film, and it's amazing. Every movie he's ever made is excellent, and I can't wait to really dive deep into it, because everybody knows I really love me some Sucker Punch. Nothing passes the time like Sucker Punch.
Yeah, I mean for me personally, I'll take Sucker Punch over like, I don't know, Guardians 2, Black Panther.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'll take Sucker Punch over Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I don't know. I don't know.
That movie was bad. You got that. Ant-Man and Wasp was bad.
I'll take that. We all agree on that one.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was whack.
But yeah, before we get into it, guys, again, I just want to reiterate, as always, we want to say thank you to our patrons. We actually did get a new one yesterday. However, I haven't updated the graphic. So with that being said, thank you, Caden. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Odd. And thank you, it's Joshua, right?
Josh Robertson, my boy Josh.
Yeah, so thank you to them.
My man.
And then make sure to stop in and grab some merch. All right. We got Driving with Jack. We got TY's Corner. We got Justice Loves Zack Snyder shirts. We got everything. We got everything.
That's hilarious.
We should really make those. Actually, we should.
Come get one, baby. Put my face on it.
Yeah, but so with that being said, though, so tonight what we're gonna do, all right, and I know this is a little weird, a little far-fetched, but basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down the list in order of release date. So obviously starting with Dawn of the Dead. right?
Yep.
And we'll go up the chain. And we'll have a healthy discussion about what we liked, what we disliked. And by the end of the video, we should have a solid ranking of what movie goes where, and basically the pop culture corner list of Zack Snyder's films. Okay, so we obviously are starting with Dawn of the Dead. Now I don't know if anyone remembers, but Dawn of the Dead is actually a remake, and it came out in 2004. So let's start off with Dawn of the Dead. What are you guys thinking of Dawn of the Dead?
It's a great movie for the simple fact that I'm a huge fan of the original. So when I heard that they're going to remake it, I'm like, oh my God. And it's a new director who's never made anything. It's going to be awful. And what was great about it is that even though the premise is the same, like people trapped in a mall and zombies, it's its own movie. It's not a carbon copy or like trying to do the exact same thing that the first original film did, the George Romero film did. And that's where I think Zack, really just sold it. He came up with his own characters. He came up with his own story and just took the idea of zombies in a mall and did his own thing with it. And that's why it's such a good film that stands on its own. And even original fans who love the original will tell you they love the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
And then we got this gem.
Right.
We got this gem right here. I love this.
Yeah, that horrifying scene.
Yeah. So when this movie opened, and I saw that zombie baby, I almost freaked out a little bit because not a lot of films will go as far to do anything to babies.
Yeah.
But like they won't kill them or you won't see it on screen. This was the first time I saw a mutant zombie baby on screen.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Right. It's basically first of all, that did scare me. I didn't kind of get freaked out. I freaked out. I was terrified. Secondly, it's basically just Dead Rising, the movie, which is awesome. Dead Rising was a great game, and it's the concept of being at a mall during a zombie apocalypse. It actually works way better than you might think right off rip. But it's awesome. You see all kinds of funky hijinks, and you hit them with a wiffle bat or whatever the case may be. So Dawn of the Dead's a lot of fun. Pretty high up on my list.
Yeah. For me, I love Dawn of the Dead. I think it's a testament. For me, it's a testament of what like Snyder, can really do as a director. It's a small budget. It's a small, kind of comes. It's in the mall. It's all like Justice said. It's like Dead Rising the movie, and I think he absolutely kills it. It's a really simple idea, but he takes it and he does his own thing and he makes it work in a way that I think it set the tone, I think, for his career, for his style, and for, just how he does things. I think it's just a fun movie too. Like you can't really criticize that movie. Like it's just a fun, it's just a fun movie.
All right. So, but and for me, Dawn of the Dead, it's hard to compete with like, the original, right? It's hard to compete with Romero's original. It was revolutionary. People really.
Now, mind you, I'd never seen that, so this was all I was working off.
No, I haven't.
Right. So people,
I have like 3 copies of it.
Yeah. So people really didn't know if they wanted this movie to be made because they were so in love with the originals that it's kind of like that syndrome that we get, like when they, when we heard first that the Joker was coming back, people kind of like, I'm not sure about that. Though this one's mine. This one's mine. And a lot of people felt that way with Dawn of the Dead. However, this movie, it blew people away. What's the score for that, Jack?
Currently it's at 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. And
that's about right.
It could be the highest one, depending on where Army of the Dead lands. But as of right now, it's his best reviewed film.
Right, and so that's Zack's first feature film that he made. Now, for a director to come out of the gate and gate that strong, it's impressive. It really is impressive. And with a zombie film to make your first movie. You dive headfirst into the zombie genre.
Well, right. We were talking about that a little bit. We were talking about that a little bit off camera, because me and Austin leading up to Army of the Dead, and zombie movies are one of those things. Like it's hard to mess up. You should not mess up a zombie movie. It's pretty simple. You don't need heavy story. You just need a lot of fun, a lot of action, and that's exactly what Dawn of the Dead was. Some good humor. I really liked it. Casting was on point. So a lot of fun. You haven't seen it, I suggest checking it out.
For sure. So guys, let's take a vote. Let's take a vote here. Dawn of the Dead. Now, where would we rank this? Where would we rank this on your list, 1 through 8? And then we'll take and then we'll move on. And by the end of it, I should know exactly where each one fits in. So starting with Austin.
Cool. Real quick shout out to the chat, everybody. As always, thank you so much for being here, guys. Nick, Movie Dog, Sir Nerd a Lot, all you guys, appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
For me, I think it lands. I think for me it goes. It's number 5. It's number 5, and that doesn't mean like I don't like it or that like I really love it, but it is his first film, and he has grown. I mean, exponentially as a filmmaker since, and so that's why it's there for me. So it's 5 out of 8 for me.
5 out of 8. Jack,
I'd put it at 6.
6.
Yeah, of his best films, and I love all of his films. So
right, that's the thing. Me, Jack, and Tyler, we love all of them. Justice is the real critical one here.
That's the crazy thing, because like when I was trying to say it on Twitter, I was like, "Oh, we're ranking them from least." Well, I didn't want to use the word least.
Right. You can, yeah.
So I put in parentheses least of the greatest. You know.
There we go. Yeah, exactly.
But so Justice.
Number 2. I put it at number 2. I really liked Dawn of the Dead. For a long time, I didn't even know Zack directed it. I had no clue. I just always liked that movie. It's a lot of fun, very simple. Like I said before, a lot of humor, good action. It was very enjoyable for me.
Yeah, you know what the thing is it did have some great humor. It did have some awesome action. It had that thriller suspense vibe, and you kind of got that heist genre a little bit, where they had to accomplish a certain task. And I really like Dawn of the Dead. However, I am also going to put it at number 5. So Dawn of the Dead, that gives it an average. Well, I mean, we can move on to the next one, and I'll do out the averages. So that's 5, 6, 2, 5. All right. Can anyone guess what his next film was, by the way?
300.
Okay.
Yeah.
300. which is by far one of my favorite movies of all time.
Really?
300. Yes, 300. I think did things that no one expected it to do. I do think that people thought it was just going to be like a historical film, like a historical like piece. But what it did for me was it brought Zack into the forefront of the group of directors that are like him. You know
what I think? 300 is what Mortal Kombat should have been. 300 action was absolutely gorgeous. The way it was shot looked amazing. I've never seen film like that in general, visually anyways, right? Like in this kind of style and this action, I absolutely adored it. I'm half Greek, so that hit extra spot in the right in the heart, in my genes. But I say it's what Mortal Kombat should have been, because like there's not too much story to 300, right? They're not trying to tell this crazy, plot twist heavy kind of story. It's just, hey, this is what's going on now. Peep game, they're about to fight a dude on an elephant. You know what I mean? So that movie hit all the right spots for me.
For sure. Yeah.
It was the first comic book movie that actually looked like a comic book. Like I love Spider-Man, X-Men.
Well, I think
this is where Zack proved that, you know what, the movie can be visually pleasing in the same way a panel is visually pleasing.
Look at that. I put a Watchmen.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that.
Why didn't anyone call me out on that?
I was going to, but I was like, are you trying to lead the conversation away? Or like, what are you?
No, that's hilarious.
Method to the madness.
But
maybe you were trying to reel us in.
Yeah. Maybe you're setting up the next one. Like, he's already moving on. But I just want to say this last part real quick, that 300 as a comic book movie doesn't get to, recognition it deserves. Like a lot of people say, okay, you know, the original Superman, the Tim Burton Batman, Iron Man 1, Avengers, The Dark Knight, those are the movies that changed the game. I think this movie changed a lot because there's a lot of movies that try to copy the style visually.
Right.
That 300
you know, in all fairness, Jack, most I know this to be fact because I was one of them. Most aren't aware of 300 comic. Most people just thought it was a movie that Zack had made. So the whole that's why most likely it's not on that comic book movie list because a lot of people weren't even aware of the fact that it was a comic book. I didn't even find out until I don't know, at least 5 years after the fact.
Damn, Nick Carr didn't care for 300.
Yeah.
I thought everyone liked 300. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, it's like Jack said, it did something that few, if any, comic book movies did, and it was really bring the panels to life. Probably the only other movie I could name that was doing that was like Sin City, and around that time frame.
Right.
Oh yeah, Sin City was the other one.
You're right.
But even 300, you know, Sin City's like in black and white. The style of 300 and all that was, I think, again, it was a movie that solidified Zack's abilities, his tone, what he's able to do, and also just his style. From there, he's gone on to, from 300 on, every movie, whether you like it or not. Sorry, I know Justice Sucker Punch, but pause any scene of Sucker Punch. Pause any scene of Watchmen,
You
Man
can
of
hang
Steel.
it on your wall.
You can hang it on your freaking wall. That's how
no,
good
you
it is.
got that. I've said that a million times. Visually,
but I feel like
uncomparable.
300. I think that's where he found that.
Look at that.
And he solidified. I mean, my gosh,
I agree.
gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and also the casting choice of Gerard Butler too, and you know, I think
he really killed it.
really killed that movie for me.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
You know how I know
Cersei Lannister,
300?
don't forget her.
Right. You know how I know 300 was a big hit at the time is because in the early 2000s, spoofing was very present in film. There was just a tidal wave of terrible spoof kind of movies, and 300 got nailed into the coffin with this whole spoof thing, you know. And those kind of movies always aim for the big hits at the time, you know. The blockbuster, right. Meet all those other goofy ass movies. So that's how I can tell it was a big hit, you know. And I just wanted to touch on what you said visually. I agree with that 100% because if I remember Dawn of the Dead correctly, it looks more like a Michael Bay movie than it does a Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Agreed. And he really just nails his kind of visual style, which I like that you said that.
Right.
Yeah. Did you guys care for the sequel of 300, the Rise of an Empire one?
I didn't watch it. I know Snyder produced it. But I didn't watch it because I just had a feeling.
It happened to be on TNT one day, and I was going somewhere, so I caught the first hour of it, and I was surprised by how much I liked it.
Really?
And
okay.
I liked it. Like, I got to finish watching this, and I just never did because I'm an idiot.
I liked it a lot.
But like, I was like, wow, I thought it was gonna be really bad, and the first half, I was like, whoa.
How involved was Snyder in that one? You guys know?
Producer. But I don't think he did too much because I don't think he really wanted a sequel to it. I mean, we all know how the story of 300 goes.
Right. Yeah. I was like, why are we getting?
But the studio saw a lot of money in the first film, and you know, greenlit a prequel to it basically.
And that didn't come for what? It was a couple of years after the fact, right? It was quite some time before that sequel even came out. Yeah.
And it was like Integrity says here, it was definitely average, but I think 300 Rise of an Empire, it was one of those movies like you go to the theater and you enjoyed it, right? It didn't blow your mind. It didn't have the feel, or it didn't kill you like with excitement like the first one did. But for what it was, I enjoyed it. And
it came out 8 years later, and I think the hype for 300 had just died down by then. It was too late.
Completely dead.
Yeah. But yeah. So I think
Next.
Gerard Butler, after
Oh.
this movie, got typecast, and that killed his career.
Yeah,
his
you think
killer-
so?
Yes, I think after this movie,
Uh,
he's been typecast as a certain character in a lot of movies, and
Yeah.
a lot of the movies he's done either flop or don't do as good in the box office, or he's
well,
suffered.
the Olympus Has Fallen movie kills. Those movies
Yeah, those
kill.
movies are pretty good.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah,
I'm not saying I like them. I'm not saying I like them.
They're
But
popular.
they killed. They made 3 of them for a reason, and
yeah,
the last
no,
one
true.
did
for
the
sure.
best.
That's true.
They are
That's
popular.
true.
They're definitely
that's true.
popular.
Yeah,
But
he
can you name one other Gerard Butler franchise?
no,
That's
I don't
and
think he has a franchise
but-
besides that one.
but in all
Exactly.
fairness, this dude is in damn near every movie. He was in the
He's
early
in-
Right.
2000s. He was like the action guy. He was kind
He's
of
all
the
over the
go-to.
place.
But on the same coin, a lot of those movies he did was like B-list, if that. You know what I mean? They were very kind of low budget kind of movies. They weren't
Yeah.
big
He
blockbusters.
did.
you know?
I think he did try to get away from that after 300. He did
Yeah.
some. He did some indie movies and he did some comedies. He did.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. I was a kid. I
Rom-coms.
went and saw a movie with him and Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, did a
you
rom-com.
know.
I remember that
Yeah.
movie.
I
Yep.
I
yeah.
really wanted to like that movie Geostorm that he was in.
Oh, yeah, I
However,
saw
really
that.
good.
I
things
never
about
saw that. I never
Yeah.
saw it.
it was
I watched it.
it was meh. It was meh.
Nah.
But
Actually, no. I heard Geostorm was bad. I heard Greenland was good. That's the other one that he's in.
Greenland. Yes, I heard that movie was good too.
I really wanted to like Geostorm, but it just fell flat. And,
Yeah.
Before we move
oh,
on,
and then
just
there was
wanna throw
that
a
there was that
suggestion.
other one, Hunter Killer, that was supposed to be really good, but it didn't do
Never
as
heard
well
of
as it should have.
He did do Law Abiding Citizen, which was really good.
I
That is
enjoyed
an
that
excellent
one.
movie. I can't believe I forgot about that. That movie is
I did
excellent.
enjoy that movie.
Before we
Gary
move on,
graded
there's
that
a Gerard Butler movie I want to throw on the table in case you guys haven't seen it. It's called Gamer. It's kind of one of those like B-list kind of low budget movies, but it's a lot of fun. I really liked it.
Oh, Gamer is one of us. It's a sleeper. That's a sleeper.
My man, my man. I
Yep,
knew I liked it,
that's-
Austin.
Yeah. Yep.
Alrighty. It's time for
Next.
the vote.
Time for the numbers.
Time for the numbers, folks. Starting with Austin, where would you rank 300 on your list of 8 to 1?
300 for me goes number 4. Right next to Dawn of the Dead. Again, great movie. Better follow up, and love it.
Great.
They're all great for me. So, but number 4.
Perfecto. Justice?
Oh, me next. Okay. I put it at number 3, actually.
Okay.
It's on my
That's pretty high.
300 is part of the big 3.
Wow.
Okay. Jack?
I think I put Dawn at 5, right? You think
Yes,
I put
you
it
did.
at 5?
Yep.
So I
No,
put believe it or not,
No.
You
Sorry,
put Dawn
put
at 6.
I put 6. So this I'd put at 5.
Ah,
Yeah. I like this one slightly more than Dawn, just because I feel like this was the first Zack Snyder film, as in like
Yes.
the movie that feels like a Snyder film. Like
Right,
he
right,
kind of
right.
left his imprint on
like
it.
Completely.
like what Austin said, where he really found his groove.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And for me, this one is number 6.
Okay.
Okay.
Joker.
Alrighty. Moving on to Zack Snyder's third film that he did direct entirely.
Oh,
It was
Oh,
Watchmen.
Yes.
2009. By far one of the greatest
Yes.
movies of all time.
of all time.
I-
Of all time.
It revolutionized what a comic book film or a graphic novel movie could be. It took dark and serious tones, mixed it in with a heavy and deep storyline. Depicted the source material pretty well. He did take some liberties, but overall, I think he did stay true to most of the story. There's little differences here and there, but I let those go because I think what he did was great. Overall, Watchmen is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and I mean that opening scene, dude. Come on.
So
That opening scene. That
Well,
opening
I
scene is
don't
one of
know
the
what the
greatest
comedian
scenes
or
of
the
all time.
credit?
Change.
Both. Both.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I love the credits for that movie.
I lump those together, right? The opening credit and the intro scene.
Right. Right.
If you start a movie that way,
Yeah.
I'm already up here, man. I'm
So
already up
listen,
here.
I want to keep this in all fairness, right? I enjoy this movie. I like Watchmen. I don't want to get that one twisted. I like Watchmen a lot. I have never read the novel. I've never read it. It's never presented itself to me to be able to read. So I'm just basing myself off the movie and the general knowledge I know. But I've heard a lot, I say a lot of complaints about those liberties that you just mentioned. A lot of people who are familiar with the graphic novel that read it and are big fans of it, there was a lot of complaints from people like them. Again, I like this movie a lot. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a great example as to what Austin said, why he would do good with a live action Invincible movie, because this movie is, it's, to my understanding, Watchmen in general is kind of a dark, gritty story with a lot of violence and a lot of adult themes, places he excels in.
What's interesting about this movie is, like, when I saw the theatrical version of it, I wasn't that crazy about it, but this would be the first Zack Snyder movie, and this would become a recurring pattern in his career, where it turns out he wanted to make it a longer movie, but the studio said no, and they cut it, because I thought the director's cut was excellent, and I even loved the ultimate cut, which had the animated sequences. And then you're like, okay, this guy wanted to do an almost 4-hour movie, which feels more complete. And you're right, Justice, like, this is darker, it's edgier, it's got a lot of Cold War stuff that I think modern audiences didn't connect with, because the book was written in the 80s, when the Cold War was going crazy and nuclear weapons were a fear. And to modern audiences, they're like, wait, what? Russia's what? Soviet Union. What?
Like, I mean,
it's
a great time to look back at. It was a very interesting point in history. So to look back at it is very interesting, especially from that kind of, again, I've never read the graphic novel. I only know what I saw in the movie, but I absolutely love the timestamp of it during the Cold War. And you have things like, oh my God, why am I, John, what's his superhero name? Why am I drawing a blank on
Dr. Manhattan?
Thank you, Dr. Manhattan. I don't know why I was drawing a blank on that. To see something like him running around during that time, I thought was amazing.
Yeah. And if we really like break down Watchmen, right? If we really break down Watchmen for what it is, the film, right? Not a comic book adaptation. Not only do we have some touching on real issues like the issue of sexual assault, right? The way it's depicted, and knowing
it's like absolute Law and Order.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where you got that, but
sorry.
so the themes in it were, I thought, and then like the fact that Dr. Manhattan, never felt, he was once human, and then this transformation happens, and he no longer feels that he belongs here. He no longer feels that he's understood. He's trying to have relationships with.
He no longer feels the human connection.
Right.
He's got this.
So there's so much going on in Watchmen that I think for some people it gets convoluted in their head, but I think if you really watch it and break it down and go in with an open mind, you'll see it a different way, because this movie is just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. The comedian is everybody in the world is the comedian at like deep down, right? We all are a little bit sinister. We're all like that. But I mean, not to go as far as to say with like the sexual assault, but everyone has. I
think if anything, everybody's have more qualities of like Rorschach. That's kind of the
Well, I think the whole idea was that if superheroes were real, they would be very human.
I was very turned on. I mean, I get the comedian, but I had very bad taste. And it's a great character. I love it, and they do it, but it's
you missing
love to hate
that it's not anything I can relate to in any sense.
Right. No, he's. I agree, Austin. He's the kind of character you love to hate, right?
Yeah.
Jack, I'm on the same page with you with the whole Rorschach thing. For a lot of it reminds me a lot of DC in general as a whole, right? Rorschach kind of acts as the Batman of the group, and it just Dr. Manhattan's whole story that Tyler was just talking about of him disconnecting with the world. It kind of reminds me of the Hulk a bit, with the touch of Superman, right? And
but
I've never read the novel. I love the story.
Yeah, and Zack did it in a really amazing way. As he took those elements, he added realistic stakes that he put them in the Vietnam War in the '80s, and just all these things. Yeah, for me, Watchmen. I saw that movie when I was like 11 years old, and the first time, obviously, I didn't see it like in theaters. But I saw the director's cut on DVD at home. I remember sitting and watching it with my grandma, and literally going, "This is the greatest film I've ever watched in my entire life." And it was the director's cut, so it was like 3.5 hours long. My grandma was dead asleep an hour into it. I was on the edge of my seat. I mean, and for me, it's one of those movies. And Zack has a lot of these movies in his filmography that I can just go back to, and every single time I love it, and I find new things to love about it. I love watching it with friends that haven't seen it, because a lot of them don't know like how much this did revolutionize the comic book movie making. I mean, this was R-rated, hardcore, gritty superheroes, and it really hadn't been done this way in live action before. I mean, it was really Zack taking a leap and a step and being very bold, and I think for me it worked. It worked fantastic.
There was I think audiences weren't ready for this movie because it didn't make that much money, and there was a level of immaturity I saw in audiences. They're like, oh, blue penis. See that all on Facebook and social media. I'm like, hey, there's a bigger story here. Like, people just couldn't get over the fact that there was a naked dude in there. Like, I would see there was a level of immaturity. People,
but again, it goes back to that disconnect from humanity. So, I think, Watchmen.
I think most viewers at that time were roughly me and Austin's age, because I was also a child when that movie came out.
Right.
Superhero movies at that time weren't what they are today, right? Not everybody and their mother wasn't going to see a superhero movie at that time. Still, I know it was only 2009, but that was the case. That was when the first Iron Man came out. So people weren't flooding theaters for superhero movies. So a lot of the people who saw it were me and Austin's age, kids, right? And we all grew up with it, watching it. And you're right, Austin. When I first saw it as a child, it absolutely blew my mind, because I've never seen a movie shot like that. I've never seen that kind of
the prison sequence, just goes down in history as one of the best filmed fight action sequences like ever put on screen. The ending, and I've since seen the ultimate cut with the animated version. Speaking of Gerard Butler, which features Gerard Butler voices the character in that animation.
I know that.
So he brings Gerard back for that. Also, I remember specifically the trailer for that movie, and sitting in the theater and having that weird. It's just
Smashing Pumpkins.
Play it through my head, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think the ending, I think the ending was one of my favorite endings in a movie ever.
Yeah, it was. It's wild.
And what I liked about Watchmen was you got to go along for the ride where you didn't know who was the real problem until really, like, basically we found out. When did we find out that Adrian was a bad guy? Like, probably like three quarters of it.
You
get quarters in.
Yeah. You get some hints.
And then they do the the flashback, and they put you back into the scenes, and then Adrian's like doing shit. For me, and when I was going before I was interrupted, was I think we all have a little bit of each of these characters in us, right? Mm-hmm. So if you go down the list, right, they all embody a certain part of us. And that's what I really fell in love with each of the characters, was that I had a little bit of them in me, each of them, a little bit of each of them. And together they were the Watchmen, right? However, they just couldn't seem to make it work. And this wasn't a superhero team anymore. This was a bunch of individuals who lived out their glory days a long time ago and were pretty much shut out by society after a while, especially, the comedian. I think no one wants to admit a lot of it, a lot of their sinister side of them. But the comedian, I mean, for me, I guess what I'm saying is Watchmen posed a lot of moral questions for me.
Definitely. That it definitely did. That I 100% agree. And look, it's one of those things that, look, that's interesting. You like the movie and you find that aspect interesting. I don't see that part of it, but I love that movie for a bunch of other reasons that are also similar. Like I love it for the character of Rorschach, and
that's what a good film does.
That's what a good film does.
That's what a good movie does, is make you. Yep. And I can say more times, a Zack Snyder film made me ask questions over any other director. Chris Nolan's up there, obviously, but not really moral questions. Like when I watch a Nolan film, like I'm not asking myself moral questions. I'm asking myself typically, what the fuck is going on?
It's not morally. It's
on
just
here.
What?
But Zach always has me asking myself questions on what would I do in this situation. Am I the comedian, right? Am I a terrible person, or am I Dr. Manhattan, like the utopian kind of person who is pure in every sense of the word? That's why I love Zach. He makes me question everything, and thus teaches me a lot. So for me, a lot of people won't see this one coming, but for me, Watchmen, number one.
Number one for me as well.
Watchmen is my number one Zack Snyder film.
It's 4
number one for me.
All right, Zach, Justice. Sorry.
4.
Zack Snyder.
Oh wait, you know what? No, you know what, guys? I lied to you for the last one. I got to swap them. Watchmen definitely gets number 3. 300 gets 4. I said 3 for 300 last time, and that is a lie.
Justice, this is your final change. Okay.
Yeah, you only one change.
You get one change per.
Okay. Well, wait.
Oh no, you can't go back now.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking. That was a
You
joke.
actually couldn't go back now because you've already changed once. That would be a second change. So.
What up, Ryan? What's up,
Ryan? Whoa.
All right. So Watchmen, number 1, number 1, number 4, number 4.
Yep.
That's what I just got.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Moving on to one that I don't know. Some people haven't seen it.
I have not.
Legends of the Guardians.
Legend of the Guardians.
Of the Guardians.
Never seen it.
Now,
I've seen
has
it.
everyone seen it here?
I've seen it.
Nope.
Yeah.
I have seen it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have not.
3 of us.
Yeah. It's one of few animated films I haven't seen. You know that. You guys know that. I love animated films. But it's one of those movies, again, I was pretty young when it came out, and it's one of those movies that like never presented itself to me. It never like popped up on cable when I was watching TV one day, or I never scrolled by it on demand or whatever I was using at the time. So I never really watched it.
Heard.
Honestly, this movie I just saw it recently, and I was blown away by how well made it was. I mean, yeah, it's based off a series of books, and I think there's that bias against Zack Snyder, because if this had the words Disney Pixar in front of it,
yes,
it'd be celebrated, like up there with like Frozen.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you said it before I did, because that's the crazy part. Is this movie, when you watch it as an adult, you get into it.
Yeah. Like
as an adult, I was like, this is fire. This is absolutely fire. For an animated movie, y'all know how I feel about animation. It was kind of like Invincible, where I got lost in it, where I didn't see animation anymore. I saw the story, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I really don't have to take a vote for myself on this one. This one is the last. This is the last on my list. Okay. Simply because it's animation. It's not for me, but it's a great story. I got lost in it. I thought it was fun. It's just, when I think of Zack Snyder movies, this isn't one that jumps to the forefront of my list, right? So for that reason, like even Sucker Punch, I liked more.
I did. I agree. I'm with that. And look, again, it's Another thing where it's like I all of his movies are great and it's very definitive in its style. It's a very even different style of an animation that you see the Zack Snyder style in the animation, which is really cool. But I mean, yeah, just not big animated guy nowadays. Besides like Invincible and like some anime stuff for me. So it just falls. It falls at number 8 for me.
Yeah.
It's a 7 for me.
And there's not really much to talk about, with that. I mean, it's a great
Really
movie. It's a great movie.
It is.
But this is one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, okay, that was definitely a film that Zack made, and it was great. But yeah, so
and hey, you can't also as a director, you got to think too. Zack was probably trying to challenge himself in animation and he succeeded. He did a great job, and it just was not. I think you made a great point, Jack. If it had Disney or Pixar on it, it'd be the biggest movie of the year at the time.
And by the way, this is his first movie to get a negative score or a rotten score.
Really?
Oh yeah. So what was the score? Can you actually go back up the list? I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah. So Dawn of the Dead is 75, 300 is 61, Watchmen is 65, which is another. That's again the theatrical version.
See, that's of the Guardians talking about.
Is 52.
All right, so that just shows you guys critics have it out for Snyder. They don't.
Yeah. Well, that's probably for Watchmen. Those are the people I was referring to. Those ones that were complaining about the liberties he did take and certain things he did change. That's probably why.
I think even with 300, I think even with 300 it started because I remember people coming out with 300, and there was a crowd that was like, because at the time, dude, you gotta think it's 2006. It was a shocking movie.
Yeah,
it was a pretty shocking movie, right? And I mean, lots of graphic stuff, lots of really stylized action and cool. I mean, for me, as people read the comic, people who like that type of stuff, we're like, yeah. But there was that group of people that were like, this is no, So
I'll add this. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, by all means.
Someone speak.
I remember in 2006, the Rotten Tomatoes score for 300 was much higher. It was in the 70s. I remember because I used to go to Rotten Tomatoes back then. It was a much higher score back then. And in the last 15 years or so, it has dropped.
Right.
They take reviews. Is Trip in a coat closet? Hey, man. We do what we have to here, all right?
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, Ryan, close enough.
At the end of the show, Drip's going to come out of the closet.
Really like me.
No, I am.
my step-parents really don't let me being around the house, so I got a little closet underneath the staircase where I just kind of. That's where I sleep.
It's his Harry Potter room.
These aren't my coats.
He's like the troll under the bridge, basically. Every time they open the door, they have to answer his riddle to grab a coat.
All right.
I'm the grumpy old troll that lives under the bridge.
So I said number 8. Jack?
Number 7. Number 7 for me.
Austin?
8.
And honestly, Justice, you haven't seen it, so it's going to default to number 8, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put it at the very bottom.
Yeah, that's only fair. You haven't seen it, so it would have to default to number 8.
It'd be the greatest if he was like number 1.
If he was number 1. If you said anything else, it would not make sense. That's why it would have to default to. You're like, yeah, it's number 2. It's like, what? You haven't even seen it, Doug. Man, we would have all been in agreement if it wasn't for Jack.
Yeah.
Come on, Jack.
Yeah, of course. Jack is breaking the bubble. All right, guys, we are halfway through the show, and we have gotten through so far Dawn of the Dead, 300, Watchmen, and Legend of the Guardian. I really can't say the next part, so I'm just not gonna do it.
The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
Ga'Hoole is the part that really freaks me out.
Ga'Hoole.
But please excuse us while we take a break and you hear from the people that pay us some money. We are brought to you today by Bonk's Bar in Philadelphia. Bonk specializes in seafood and good times. If you're in the Philly area, make sure to stop by, and on Tuesdays, our resident producer Jack hosts trivia at the bar. mention Pop Culture Corner to Jack and receive your first drink on the house. For more information about the menu or specials, visit the website for Bonks or their social media pages. All of the links are in the description below. This was an easy one, guys. Head out, support your local service industry. Go to Bonks, grab some seafood, some beer and wine, play some trivia, and have a good time. We are brought to you today by Kai CBD, a Las Vegas-based health and wellness brand that crafts a full-spectrum CBD hemp-derived product line. Made with 100% love, the brand was created by a 20-year licensed massage therapist for her husband who suffers from chronic pain. Healing is what Kai lives for. Head over to their Facebook or Instagram and mention Pop Culture Corner to receive 10% off your order of all or any of their CBD-derived product line. Guys, their website is in the works. Head over to their Facebook or Instagram. The links are in the description below. Mention Pop Culture Corner and get 10% off. This ad is an easy one for me. Easy, as I use the products myself. They are wonderful. So head over, mention Pop Culture Corner, and get 10% off your order of all orders forever. We are brought to you today by Smooth My Balls. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, are you sick of cutting yourself, nipping yourself with those old razors that you've used 412 different times? Well, Smooth My Balls has you covered. Your number one source for male grooming products. Dedicated to providing you the very best trimmers with an emphasis on service, friendliness, and overall good experiences. Smooth My Balls has come a long way from its beginnings in England. When they first started out, their passion was for male grooming. That drove them to start their own business and to find the best products suitable for easy grooming. You will thank me later, your privates will thank me later, and your partner will thank me later, because you're gonna be smooth as an egg. Trust me. Use code POP at checkout for 15% off your entire order. Limit one order per household per day. Guys, girls, get on it. Shave up. Get it. All right, we are back. I just got to get this thing off the screen because, But we're back. Jack, you thought I said neck?
Yeah, like smooth as a neck. I'm like, smooth.
Who would ever say that?
I don't know, you.
Who would ever say that?
Maybe somebody shaves their neck.
That's the creepiest thing I've ever heard.
Hey, you're the
Smooth
one who
as a
said it.
neck.
Really?
I said smooth as an egg. Smooth as an egg. Smooth as a neck.
I mean,
you make me sound like a serial killer.
I mean, mine's kind of nice. It'll make a good scarf.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, when he messaged me that, I was like, what? And neck? All right, guys. Moving on to everybody's favorite Zack Snyder film, Sucker Punch. Everyone's
right.
there. Baby doll. Woo!
Baby doll.
God, I would marry her on the spot. Look
Easy,
at that.
Tiger.
Look
Easy.
at that. Woo, woo, woo,
Hey,
woo.
Yeah. All right, boys, calm down.
All right.
It's like one of those old cartoons with the wolf. He's howling, right? His eyes bug out of his head.
Oh.
Yeah. So Sucker Punch. What are you guys' thoughts on this one?
I liked it. I enjoyed
if you guys say anything other than it's the best movie ever made, then I want to fight you, because it's by far the best film I could ever possibly imagine could even be created. I mean, honestly, if I was in the film industry, I would have gave up after Sucker Punch released. Here, Zach, take the crown. You're the king of movies now, because wowee, that was a good film. And it just really proves his filmmaking ability.
The sarcasm is real.
Yeah.
The love is real.
That's
no. But in reality, I would like to hear your thoughts. Because listen, I think Sucker Punch has several issues. However, we have to remember it's a passion project, right? So Zach basically took this movie and did exactly what he wanted to do with it. He wrote, directed, and this was through and through a Zack Snyder film. Yeah, Deb went on record. I think she was talking to Lightcast podcast when she said it, but she said that she didn't think audiences were ready for it. And I would agree. I think audiences aren't ready for a lot of what Zack does. But I think in the years that come, the years that follow, you know how we all look back on certain movies and we're like, that's a great. However, at the time, not so much. People were like, okay, whatever. But this is one of those that I think it has a cult following, by the way. I don't know.
It does have a very small cult. It's not like most cult films, but it has a very small cult.
We have more people in this stream than there is in that cult following.
Obviously, look, I hear what Deborah was saying, but I'm not gonna lie. I think with this one, I would rebuttal with, I don't think Zack was prepared for this movie. I understand it was his passion project, and I actually think it might have been a really good film had he made it 10 or 15 years later. After he'd learned some things, and there was a lot of complex behind the scenes story going on in that movie, and a lot of commentary that I think is really good. And I think it's a mix. I think audiences weren't ready for it, but I think also Zack wasn't ready for it. I think maybe he might have jumped out of excitement to do it, a little too early.
What's crazy to me is we live in a society. Yeah, I did it.
Oh boy.
We live in a society where gender equality, right, is everything, right? Gender equality, racial equality is everything, and it's right on the news almost every day. I'm surprised that a lot more women don't stand up for this movie
because they don't like the fact that
it sexualizes them, and that they wear the outfits,
right? And it's not that. That's what
look
people
at this,
see. That's what people see.
Girls.
People see that on the surface, right? They see that clip and they go, "Oh, it's sexualized women, and it's all this, and it's blah," and it's this, it's this really empowering, like Ryan says, it's a really empowering story. I thought of this girl, building this fantasy to deal with these traumas and these absolute horrible things going on around her and becoming her own hero in a sense, and I thought it was, so I personally really love the movie. But I do think that, like, again, if Snyder, and this is one of those, I hear there's a director's cut like laying around somewhere, but Warner has the rights and he can't release it right now. Yeah. But I would like to see that director's cut. That maybe out of all of his films, I want to see the director's cut to that movie most.
I'm going to back up what you said, Austin, where you said that had he made this movie later in his career, because we do see him mature as a director. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but it's probably not one that I'm going to rewatch anytime soon. Does that make sense? As for the whole sexualizing thing, I think that's people being over the top ridiculous. I mean, it's like, as we all know, people don't like looking at attractive women. No. Like, we do.
Well,
men and women.
If I may.
But Thor can take his shirt off in every movie.
Yeah,
and it's fun. But Thor can take his shirt off every movie.
I'm for that too. I want to see that.
No,
too.
I know, but the same people that criticize women being in those kind of outfits are the ones that are like that they don't say anything when hunky males are shirtless and and stuff.
What were you guys saying when everyone was sexualizing Channing Tatum, huh? What were you saying then?
If I may, on a different on a different side of things, I heard a couple of you guys. What was Deborah referring to when she said audiences weren't ready for it? Because it's not like this, like, there's nothing like appalling in this movie. There's nothing mind blowing. There's nothing.
I would say it's a high. I would say it's a high thinking movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's a high. Out of Zack's movies, it's probably one of his most. It requires you to think a lot.
So okay.
There's heavy symbolism.
Heavy symbolism, commentary.
Social cues.
Very heavy.
There's a lot of that stuff that maybe if you watch the movie at a surface level, you wouldn't understand. But when you start unraveling it and peeling back the layers, you start realizing, oh, this isn't the movie that I thought it was.
Right. The concept to it is great. If you ask me, I think the concept really dope. On paper, it seems like it should be great, and I should love it. But I didn't. A lot of people didn't. I thought it was just plain old bad. The performances weren't very good. His action's always on point. It never fails. His action will always be on point. Visually, it would always look good. But characters weren't very great. Considering there was such heavy material present, and the concept itself had so much like depth to it, like Driscoll was just referring to. There's a lot to this movie, but the dialogue didn't seem to match that. The performances didn't seem to match it. I didn't get that kind of intensity out of the actual storytelling,
So I'm going to back up just a little bit. So he doesn't like it. I liked it, but I would agree that's why for me it's a number 8. It didn't hit the highs for me that all his other movies did. Like that's not saying I don't like it, but like I can see where Justice is coming from. But I disagree about the performances. I thought the girls, Jenna Malone is just so underrated as an actress.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's playing second fiddle in that movie. She is such a, if you guys ever see a movie called Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys, a little plug for her there. She's such a good actress and has been. I don't get why she's not in more stuff. And Zach, I think, brings out the best in her and all the actresses.
For sure.
Yeah, I thought all the actresses were phenomenal. And somebody made a great point. Also, this was before Oscar Isaac was really known, and he gives a killer performance. I think he's a villain, and you hate that guy. You want the things that you want to do to that guy. Yeah.
Sorry. I was just thinking, you had mentioned that, and you're right. Oscar Isaac was a great villain in that movie. It reminds me a lot of New Mutants. Because I kind of came into New Mutants with the same kind of idea, that kind of like psychological thriller, right? And the placing's the same. It's in like some kind of sort of mental hospital, whatever the case may be, and it has that kind of creepy, dark vibe that comes with that kind of setting. But if both of those movies didn't hit even close to what like I would think they would, on paper, like Sucker Punch should be like way up there for me. Like I remember first hearing about this movie. I didn't see it in theaters or anything like that. I saw it maybe like 2 years after it released. But when I heard about it, I was like, wow, this movie's gonna be dope. I'm gonna love this. That sounds amazing. And I watched it, and I was frowning the entire time.
Hey, you know what? But I like the honesty, because I don't want to hear that you liked it if you didn't like it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that didn't like it, and for me, I completely understand.
Here's an unpopular thing that I'll probably say is there's a large group of people on Twitter, on social media, that pretty much worship the ground Zach walks on. And they'll tell you straight to your face that they love Sucker Punch. They're either lying or they've never seen it.
Yeah.
There's a large percentage of people who haven't actually gone and watched it all the way through or actually seen the film, but they'll pretend they like it. And that's because they wanted to get out on this whole like Snyder trend.
Maybe, yeah.
I think that you should go watch Sucker Punch and come to your own conclusion, not just like it because the director made it.
Yeah.
Sucker Punch is flawed.
It is
100% flawed.
It is.
Could I make an analogy? Oh no, go ahead. Yeah.
But I think out of his 8 films, it's not last for me. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Did I think it was the Snyder cut good? No. But I saw what he was going for.
And again, it's from what I hear, it's one of those films where he had to cut a lot of stuff because of the studio and all that, and so I'm not even sure that I'm sure there's another version out there. Again, I'd like to see the director's cut of that.
Yeah. I would love to see the director's cut.
And he said he's been, I think, Warner has the rights to it being like on TV and all that stuff. Yeah. And once those rights go up, it's possible that he can do a director's cut or something.
Yeah. I just wanted to make a quick analogy in terms of like the way I look at it. I
So
kind of
real-
compare it to Jackie Brown. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll bring it up after
Jackie
Ryan.
Brown is for Tarantino. I love Jackie Brown. I've seen it many times, but if I have to rank it in my Tarantino movies, I'd put it at the closer to the bottom, just because it doesn't have the highs for me that Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, and Glorious Bastards, Hateful Eight does. Does that make sense? Right. I do like the movie, but it just
I agree with you on that.
Wait a second.
Ryan, you've seen.
I was gonna say
cut?
I was just about to bring this up.
Mhm.
Ryan is saying that he tells people to watch the director's cut. Austin is saying there's no such thing. Where are we here? Because I've never heard of a director's cut for Sucker Punch, unless it was included in like the Blu-ray and I didn't know about it.
Maybe extra scenes. I don't know, but no director's cut. And Snyder, they just asked him like, with all the. Could you
clear that up for me, Jack, please?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up. There's a theatrical cut. There's an extended edition that had 18 minutes of footage.
So I think that's Ryan. Are we talking about the extended cut?
I guess that would be it.
And then there's also an unreleased director's cut, which would be the full version. But I think this came out in 2020.
Okay. Okay. All right.
The extended edition came out in 2020?
Apparently, that's what I'm trying to read through this.
Really?
Apparently, there is an extended edition that did come out. It's on Prime Video on Amazon Prime. I see it right here. But it says extended cut, but then Zach says there's a director's cut, which would be even longer.
Right.
No, it's okay, Ryan. Don't worry about that.
Wow.
I just wanted to clear it up to make sure we're not saying anything that's incorrect. Us for when people go back and rewatch. So you guys heard that. So as always with Zach, right? He always gets his films chopped. So there is an extended cut. It's on Amazon Prime. If you'd like to watch Sucker Punch, I haven't seen it, but I can already guarantee you're better off watching the extended edition than the theatrical. So watch it on Amazon Prime. And then hopefully we'll get a director's cut one day. All right, let's go around the table. For me, this is obvious as number 7.
A number 8 for me.
7, 8. Austin?
I'm with you, 7. I think me and your list are gonna be pretty similar, Ty.
Yeah. And Justice, I would say 7 for you too.
Yeah. Also 7. I didn't get. I've never seen Guardians, the Owl movie, so that had to go at the bottom of the list because I've never seen it. If that wasn't the case, Sucker Punch would be at the very, very bottom. As low as I could possibly put it.
This is like it's 8.
It's an 8. It's a 10.
I'm gonna put it at number 12 out of 8.
How many films are done? 8. It's number 100. It's done. It's
dead.
I hate it.
He ranks it below the Justice League.
Yeah, it's dead. Bury it.
Bury it. Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yes. Don't.
Guys,
hilarious.
We're in the top 3. Latest.
Oh boy.
We are in the latest 3.
Percentile.
The latest 3 of Zach's films, starting at 2013's highly regarded Man of Steel. Man of Steel, guys.
Yep.
Ryan's comment is over the thing. Man of Steel, guys. What are your thoughts? This.
Oh yeah. Oh, Justice.
Hey, I still have that little dish thing. No, I still have it.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that another time. But yes, I still have all my knickknacks.
Okay.
Yeah, that $200 that you got for free, I wouldn't talk bad about it.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
All right.
I loved it.
Well, yeah. For me, Man of Steel. Man of Steel is it's the movie that made me fall like Superman. I wasn't the biggest Superman person like with the comics and stuff. It took me until like All-Star Superman to like him. But this movie, I loved everything about it. From the very, speaking of openings, there's no director's cut for Man of Steel, thankfully. And he's been honest that he did everything he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that
crazy?
That's
cool.
Man of Steel, out of all 8 of his movies, Man of Steel happened so perfectly. and he was so happy with it that there was nothing extra that could have possibly been in it that he didn't get to put in it. That's amazing.
Yeah, but for me, I mean, from start to finish, from literally the first 20, I still to this day, of all the Snyder's openings are fantastic. But the opening of Man of Steel is, in my opinion, one of the greatest cinematic sequences ever put on screen, like for a comic book movie, especially. I mean, just for you to see, he takes you onto Krypton in a way you've never been before. Russell Crowe is Russell Crowe. I mean, Russell Crowe, right? Just everything about that sequence. It's a story that we all know and we've all seen a million times, but it's just done in such a unique and definitive way. I mean, for me, I love Man of Steel.
When Russell Crowe rides that creature from Avatar, I was on my feet. Like,
See, I didn't want to be the one to say it, but that's basically.
Oh,
and
God.
He didn't say it. He didn't want to say it. He didn't say it.
The Lord didn't want to let you say it, boy.
God,
did you do that? I did that.
No.
Wait, Jesus did that? Oh no.
Just Jesus. Jesus wouldn't even let you talk smack about it.
The wheel.
About the Jesus movie.
That opening scene, first of all, was just basically Avatar. I don't remember the planet from it. It was Avatar, but red. I like Man of Steel. Pandora. Thank you. Yes. I like Man of Steel. It was fun. The best way I heard it described is basically just a 2.5-hour episode of Dragon Ball, which I think is a good comparison. And it was a lot of fun. When he actually fought Zod, I was into it. But here's the thing: it's the same problem with what movie did I say this about earlier? I can't remember. I said it about Sucker Punch. But the movie itself, like the action, the choreography, all that's on point, but the characters are not. I don't like his depiction of Superman, not even a little bit, at all. And I'm not like this diehard Superman fan, because I always picture Superman as that Boy Scout. I know it sounds cliche at this point, but that's how I know Superman to be. A Boy Scout, he's the one, he interacts with people on the streets. He does what he can not to destroy cities.
Right, he saves the cat out of the tree and all of that. Yeah. So besides destroying the city? So besides destroying the city, what? And I want you to think of that destroying the city as like, look, that's his first fight.
Right. Dude, Austin.
Oh, I just give me a second. Just give me a second, Ty.
We've done it. We've danced
so many times. So many times.
You cannot say anything that I haven't already said.
So many times. Between him, Jack, Garza, and everybody else we've met, Austin, I promise you cannot be original about this. But nevertheless, I did enjoy Man of Steel. I think it's fun. I don't like the way Superman acts, but the movie is fun. Like I said, it's like a really long episode of Dragon Ball, which is cool.
We will talk about this later.
My thing is, I will say this, that Justice's objections are echoed by a lot of the critics who didn't like this movie. Although this scored 59. But I'll say this. To me, I felt like Zack graduated on another tier as a director. I would not have expected him to make a movie like this, because Superman isn't a bloody, violent, like 300 or Sucker Punch, whatever. I think it might be his most focused film. I think that from the score, the way he approached it, treating it as a first contact movie. Oh, Nick's new to Nick. You don't want to watch the older episode. But I think it's his most focused
stick
film.
around, Pippin. This happens on a regular basis.
Wait till we get to Batman vs Superman. Wait till we get to if that's making you angry. He likes Man of Steel, but I thought it was his most focused film. I thought it's a very good pace, and the idea of treating Superman as a first contact movie, treating it like, oh, aliens among us, like in the comics and even the original Superman, like, I'm from another planet. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Right.
Over here, they're like, oh my God, he's gonna kill us. Like the panic, the fear. He is Superman, but he's not Superman. He's not that Henry Cavill, I mean, he had some big shoes to fill. And I think we can look back and say that I think he filled them pretty well. I mean, the stuff that Justice was saying about, I do see that in there. He's there to save people. He's trying to help people. In the comics and the animated series, every time superheroes fight, it looks like the end of this movie. It looks like the end of the Avengers.
Yes,
you know, buildings collapsing. You know, the only difference is if
this was the one that critics decided to. This was the one that critics decided to notice and go, oh no, not this one, guys.
But you know what the difference is? They have a lot of like subtle techniques where they kind of like just before like the big crash happens, they'll pan away or they'll cut to a different, they do these little things to make it seem not as bad as it actually is. Man of Steel, on the other hand, said none of that, and every last piece of destruction you saw, and you just realized the magnitude of how crazy it actually got. That's one of the
how powerful these guys are.
Right. That's one of the complaints I don't agree with at all. I love the action. I thought it was great. Yeah. My problem is Superman himself. I get it. It's his early days, but this is Clark Kent as a person. This is his personality. He's heavy on compassion. He's very friendly. He's a people person, but he's kind of, a shy nerd. But he's not somebody who locks himself away and mopes and, deserts himself in the Arctic and pulls some shit, right?
It's not like he has a fortress of solitude where he goes and hides all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I don't know.
See what I did there?
I don't. Yeah, I saw it, and you're right. I just don't like. I don't know. I just don't like the way.
That's fine.
I do
okay,
think,
but it's okay not to like the film. It's okay, but the thing is, and with the whole Superman thing, is the reason that I just don't understand you, right? And this is coming from a legitimate thing, like a legitimate place. The reason I don't understand is this isn't a Superman that is in a comic book. Mm-hmm. This is a Superman that's in the real world, and he's in the. Have you ever met anybody? And I get it, right? Oh, but it's a comic book character. All right, yeah, you got that. But what I liked about Henry Superman was it was like if you took this character, ripped him out of the page, threw him into the real world, how he would actually be. There you go, right? And a troubled person who grew up on Earth, having these abilities that he didn't know where came from until his father tells him, by the way, you're not from here. Like it's almost like a rite of passage when he hits puberty. It's like, oh, I think you're old enough to know, by the way, you're the first alien. Like, think about
he says you're the answer to Are We Alone in the Universe, son?
That
statement alone, that sentence.
Right. Child to bear that. I don't know how that child grows up to be that comic book character that you're depicting. It doesn't happen.
And also,
allow me to rebuttal. I'm going to use Dragon Ball as a comparison again, right? In Dragon Ball, they come from Earth, but it's a fictional Earth where there's like cat people and dog people and dinosaurs still roam and all this stuff, right? And I use Dragon Ball because they're roughly on the same kind of power scale. Him, Superman, and Goku. Again, this Earth is very much fictional. It's Earth, but it's not Earth. On the other hand, in DC Comics, they're in Earth as we know it. Their Earth isn't very much different to ours, with the exception of a couple of made-up cities, and superheroes exist. So saying you took him out the comics and put him into the real world in that movie isn't really true, because he's in Earth. You see what I'm saying? Like, DC's version of Earth in the comic books isn't too different from our Earth. You see what I'm saying? From reality.
Someone get a map for Justice.
I do see what you're saying. I do. However, I'm not talking about if we're looking at Zack's DC, that is not true at all. Yeah. Because superheroes weren't they're not running the streets as of yet. right?
Yeah.
Or at least publicly
Right.
not running the streets. Wonder Woman was around. We know that. We know that.
Right.
However, our story with Zack's DC starts with Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And he's, for the lack of a better term, he's the first superhero in this world.
Publicly.
So I see where your argument is, but I don't think it holds up.
Could I just make two quick points? Sorry, Justice. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Go ahead, Jack.
This and The Dark Knight, and maybe this is a phrase that's losing its momentum because it's been almost 20 years, were very post 9/11 movies. What do I mean by that? Americans react with fear and panic immediately when something different happens. Dark Knight was a very post 9/11 movie. And rather than humans being happy that there's an alien who wants to protect them, they don't trust that.
Right.
They don't trust that this guy is like, hey, I grew up in Kansas. I want to help people. I want to stick around. They're like, nah, he's up to something.
That he just wants to do the right thing.
No, he is Superman. And very cleverly, the movie's not called Superman. Very cleverly. That wasn't just like, hey, we come up with a title. It's called Man of Steel. It's specifically not called Superman because he is not the Superman, at least to the people of that earth yet. He is to us. He might be to himself. But the idea of who Superman is or what Superman is being argued.
Again, this conversation right here, the Superman conversation, can continue with the next two films anyway.
Yeah.
So let's take a vote.
I do want to say real quick. Can I just say one quick thing?
It can continue.
5 seconds.
But we're at an hour and 16 already. So I am going to say the vote has to happen.
All right. Okay.
So
it's number 2 for me.
Okay, so number 2.
3 for me.
I'm at number three for me as well.
I put Watchmen. Yeah, I gotta put it at number 5. You guys told me I'm not allowed to change things around again, so I'm gonna have to put it at number 5.
All right, number 5. That brings us to the next film, which I would argue
I'm gonna stay quiet for most of it.
Okay, I would argue that this film is the film that makes me question like it poses so much on me. I could talk literally for days about
we already have
about this next one. I can keep going. I can go and go and go and go. That is Batman
several times we've done that.
Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice.
The Ultimate Edition?
Austin, the Ultimate Edition is the only edition that exists. There's no theatrical cut that exists that we know of. Only the Ultimate Edition exists. Now you can finish your thought, Austin.
All right, cool. Okay, all right. So, okay. I think, but this one's hard for me. This one, because this is a movie that I love all of the concepts. I think the concepts of this movie are phenomenal. The whole, how do we punish Superman? How do we deal with a god? Batman and the anger and Zack did a great job of taking like some of the best comics and mashing them. But for me, even the Ultimate Edition, and I watch it like almost every 2 months. I love the movie, but it is still a mess. The movie is a bit of a mess, and there's definitely some things on there that it and I don't know if it's I know this was a story he was handed by the studio and had to rework and fix and stuff. So I don't know if that's partly the case. But there's definitely, it felt like he kind of took a step back with this one.
Wow. Okay. I see you.
Still a great movie and still a movie I watch every 2 months. I love it.
Yeah, I do.
But I'm as a film like maker and critic, it's story-wise all over the place. It takes 10 different comic book storylines and tries to throw it into a 3-hour movie.
Jack?
Yeah, this was when I first saw the theatrical version. I thought this might have been one of the worst movies Biggest failures. I wouldn't say worst movie. Just one
I
of the
agree
biggest
with that.
failures. When I saw the Ultimate Edition, I was like, whoa, different movie. And
Complete.
that's the good thing about good art
Yep.
is that it makes you go back, and every time you watch it, I always find something new that I didn't pick up. There's so much, there's the obvious metaphors, then there's the subtle metaphors, about postmodernism, about God in a modern society.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversation going on. There's a lot of conversations going on about American foreign policy. Like, that's just littered through this movie. And I have changed my mind about this. I've been really thinking about it a lot. Like, am I getting caught up in the Snyder Cut hype or whatever? But this would, for me, I think is one of the best comic book movies ever made. It's hard for me to change my mind, but it took me a while to change my mind. I think it's definitely one of the best ever made. And I think it's incredibly misunderstood. I think people are thinking Batman vs. Superman, it's going to be like what Godzilla versus Kong is. Like, forget about the story. Just wait for the last 30 minutes. I think it's a very, like what you guys are saying about Sucker Punch, like they're the obvious themes, and there's so much more. Every time I watch this movie, I always find something new. I'm like,
right.
I didn't pick up on that.
I agree with that. I agree with that completely.
I've said this a million times, almost as many times as I can bear to think about. BVS, the Ultimate Edition, the only edition that exists. It was the movie that I needed when I needed it. It was a movie that tested political themes. It was a movie that put the heroes that I'd come to know and love in new situations. In the comic books, it seems, and Jack has said this before, where the heroes are never really drawn into a place where real consequences happen. Right? It's always, they got out of it, or Batman detects his way out of it, and Superman just punches his way out of it. For once, the consequences were dire and legitimate, and they were real worldly. And for me, that when I talk about asking myself questions, this movie makes me ask so many questions to myself. Who am I, Batman or Superman? Or am I Lex Luthor? Right? And for me, when I walked out of the theater, as of seeing the Ultimate Edition, because I saw the Ultimate Edition only, never seen it theater. I'm just kidding. When I walked out of the theater, yeah, of course, pacing was weird for the theatrical cut, and I could tell that there was some things missing. But man, for once, like, I disagreed with Batman heavily throughout a film. Heavily disagreed with Batman. And the whole time I'm like in my head yelling, like, dude, just like, why aren't you seeing what I see? And it was because he was so clouded by his years and years of being a vigilante and fear of this god. For once, Batman was scared. Yeah. Right. And just
I don't think it was. It's not that he was scared, but it was just after all of these years, because he'd been scared before, probably with Joker and the Robin stuff and all that. But after all of these years, he wasn't gonna let this threat be the one, to end humanity or whatever.
Well, I think going to that. That's why I think he was afraid. It wasn't like he was afraid, like,
he was afraid.
He saw Superman as an existential threat, and not to mention he has a nightmare.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
turns out to be true.
Right.
Where he sees his worst fear coming.
Listen. This movie is so intelligent, and it is so groundbreakingly real that it makes me quiver, legitimately quiver. On what would you do if you looked up and you saw two gods bursting through buildings, laser eyeing? Not like, basically that was like that moment that Superman and Zod are fighting. That's their like 9/11, right? Yeah. Like when they're watching the towers fall and the city is burning, like at the beginning of BVS, right? Like we all saw that, and I think again that's another thing why I really took to it was in that scene where Bruce is like saving the girl and running through the dust while his building collapses. Like it brought me back to what I felt on 9/11. I was in third grade watching it on the TV, watching these towers collapse, not really knowing like, what can I do? I can do nothing. I can only watch. And it brought me back to that, dude. This movie, say what you will about it, storyline, whatever. This movie made me feel things I didn't even think I could feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I will say, it's definitely, it has some, again, some probably some of the best moments out of a comic book movie that I've ever seen. I mean, watching Superman and Doomsday fight, the Batman sequence, just so many. There's just so much that the moments are so good, and I love the Ultimate Edition. It's such a step beyond the theatrical, but somebody said, I agree, it's still rushed and it's still messy. I feel like, and Snyder kind of talks about it, right? He did Man of Steel, and then they presented him with Batman v Superman, and I feel like he would have been so better off just doing a Man of Steel sequel, next, and just taking his time with it, because it just feels it's so rushed. It's so rushed. As much as I love these characters, as much as I agree, think it's great. We don't really know, the history of this Batman. We just know that it's been a rough 30 years, and I can take to that because I know the Frank Miller story, and I love The Dark Knight Returns, and I know that's where Zack's drawing from. But I understand. I understand. I think even with the Ultimate Edition and its fixes, for me, I think probably the most disappointing thing was the rush of the death of Superman. I was like, as cool as it was to see that on screen, I'm like, that's such a good story to adapt that they could have done, that it feels like they just. I think Snyder was just so excited to be dealing with these characters. He wanted to bring everybody in, and I love it, but it's definitely stuffed.
So I agreed with you a couple of years ago. I don't know if I agree anymore, because I think we're saying that because of the MCU, and that we needed like 20 movies to get to that point. I think that Zack was reimagining this world as he would tell it, not necessarily like, okay, now we need to have Ant-Man 2 and Guardians 2 and Black Panther and Doctor Strange to get to the good stuff. It's like, I'm going to give you the good stuff now. And you're right, in the comics, the death of Superman plays out a lot differently. But
I hear what you're saying, but I don't think anybody was asking for that necessarily.
Okay.
I think, and because I know that's the argument. Yeah, nobody was asking for that. But I mean, come on, at least like 2 Superman movies, at least a Batman movie,
Jack,
at least a little something.
Yeah. Jack, what were you saying?
What I was saying was, like you're saying, we have to reestablish. I think that this movie, Zack has said, this is Man of Steel 2. When you look at it that way, you're like, okay, it's still establishing who Superman is and a world that is divided on who Superman is. And then you take it away, then the world realizes, like, uh-oh, now that he's gone, what do we do? And like, they couldn't really appreciate that. You want that Superman where everyone loves him, but you can't get that. You can't get the resurrection until you get the death. I'm going to use some religious terms that Zack would use, that you can't become that all-powerful being, Christ, until he's killed, until like, he dies for the sins of humanity. I mean, this stuff is littered through that movie. And I think it actually works better that, he didn't die when the whole Justice League was with him or at the funeral. He dies when humanity thinks they didn't need him. Right. And I think that's what makes that moment work so much better.
Again, I'm not saying I disagree with you there. I just saying I could have used Man of Steel 2 to get me a little more connected to the character. And not saying Batman versus Superman was not Man of Steel 2.
If the director sits there and tells you this is Man of Steel 2, then it's Man of Steel 2.
So what would Man of Steel 2 would have been? Because he just came out this week and gave the whole plot away for that.
So, but we don't have a Hulk trilogy. We got a Hulk trilogy inside of another film set, right? Yes, a second outing, a second solo film for Man of Steel would be great. But this is the direct sequel to Man of Steel. This is what happens. Literally, the movie starts with
I get that.
Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It is a direct.
Oh, absolutely.
You're confusing sequel with solo film, right?
Okay. I'll give you that.
Well, no, Austin, I get what you're saying, because I didn't even like Superman yet. I barely even knew him. Man of Steel is very much like a surface area level of getting to know Zack's Clark Kent. We barely even knew him. And then in BVS, most of that movie is them trying to get rid of Superman, like you said before. How do we punish something like this? Can we bring him to court? Does he fall under our rules? What do we do if he gets out of control? But then he dies at the end of the movie. So
Yeah,
we
and
barely even know him.
We
before
barely
they
even
get rid
know
of
him. Exactly. They just want you to accept, hey, this is a good, there's no, you just have that first story with him fighting General Zod. And the rushed argument is, and look, I know it's not the MCU. It's funny. As soon as anybody criticizes this movie, they're like, oh, you want it to be the MCU or whatever. And no,
But that's a lot what people said.
I couldn't care.
That.
I don't want this to be the MCU. And see, I'm on the side that I like that Batman is brutal and hurting people. Whether you think he kills people or not, I'm cool with it. I like that version. I like the Martha thing that a lot of people don't like. I understand that. I get that. That's not my argument here. My argument is that no matter what you say, period, it's rushed. I would have rather have a 4-hour cut of Batman versus Superman that gives me more time, more story, or a 3-hour cut of Man of Steel, whatever, than before just rushing into this. It's as simple as that. And it's not because it's not the MCU.
It's not as simple as that. Because
waste of great source material in that aspect.
That's strip talking. It took me a second to realize that.
That's just me.
So if you were looking on the outside inward, and we had got every single movie that Zack was planning to do, the whole arc, you would not be saying that it was too soon. You would look at it and you'd be like, I understand the story, how it was started and how it finished. I understand the journey it took to get there. However, we're looking at it from a perspective where we only have half. We don't even, I mean, we're the story's not done yet. We're
agreed. I agree with you.
We're in this like weird void point where
we don't know. Right.
Yeah, we don't know. So I there's arguments for both sides. However,
I agree, and I agree with you there. But I also have an argument that I don't think directors should work that way. You should make 2 crappy movies to make the next 3 movies good, so that way I like it.
I'm with you to a certain degree there. I don't think you should make a movie with a planned sequel. I think you should. It's like if you're in a gunfight and you're saving ammunition for your next gunfight.
And that's not to say that they're, and because I do understand. I would want, obviously, if we were directing these movies, we'd want to set up little things too, so that's not to say that they shouldn't do anything, but yeah, I'm with you there. I more
Could I make one point? I know we're going a little too long. Just one point about when you said we didn't get the backstory for this Batman. To me, Batman in today's modern culture is what James Bond was. Like when you had a new James Bond, you weren't like, okay, I need an origin story for this guy. You already knew who he was.
Sure.
And especially because of the Chris Nolan films, Batman was always a pop culture figure, but people know his origin so well. They know he fights the Joker. They know he does all this stuff that Zack has this idea. Like, what if we show him after the fact? Let's not do another origin story. Let's show him. So for me, it wasn't like you were saying, well, we know because we've read the comics. I think general audiences were like, okay, so he's 20 years into fighting criminals, and they don't need to have it explained to them how that could have had an effect on him, even though he does say it in the movie. Yeah. Quick
counter. My argument is agreed, but they don't know this Batman. Frank Miller's Dark Knight it's very well known, but it's not. They don't know.
See, I wouldn't even call this Frank Miller's Batman. I would say this is definitely Zack Snyder's Batman. Like it's his interpretation, possibly.
Yeah, but it's based off.
That falls into the same category as what I said about Superman. Everybody and their mother knows Superman, but as a storyteller, you need to introduce us to your version of that character. I don't need an origin story for Batman or Superman, but you do need to introduce me to him, your depiction, especially Zack, who changes so much about these characters and takes all kinds of liberties. Yeah, you need to introduce me to them before you throw them in this big event type of movie or kill them off, even worse.
And it's not Frank Miller's Batman, but it's heavily based on Frank Miller's Batman, period. Like the obvious stuff is there.
I would say
from the literal costume, from the costume, from the actual costume,
of course.
To the Batsuit.
I can't believe that's an argument.
Yeah, that should not even be to the way he acts and treats criminals. It's go read. I literally just.
I see what you're saying, but I would say there's enough of Zack's own. There's enough of Zack's own style into it that I feel like it's a separate character, heavily inspired by the Frank Miller Batman. But I wouldn't say this is the Frank Miller Batman.
Heavily influenced.
Because Zack has said that he would love to do a direct
Dark Knight
full
Returns adaptation.
Dark Knight Returns. So
Take my money
Just
for that.
just with those thoughts right there,
Mhm.
you can say, well, if he hasn't done a direct adaptation of it, right? It's heavily influenced.
Yeah,
It's not.
heavily
It's not.
influenced.
It's not exactly. But yeah, no, definitely for sure. So Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Let's take the vote.
Here we go.
All right, so Austin can start it off.
All right, for me, it does fall at number 6. Number 6 for me.
Okay. Jack.
Number 1. I thought about this a lot the last couple of days. It's my number 1 for Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I can dig that. Big Drip.
Big Drip.
Strip's favorite
Bottom
movie.
of the list.
number
Bottom, very bottom. Yeah, no, I buried it a long time ago.
Okay.
Yes, number 6. Thank you.
All right. And
All right, so mine's number 6, but I don't feel that way.
Okay. For me, it's number 2. All right. And if anyone's been paying attention, you could literally see, you would know where the next one ranks for every one of us.
Yeah.
But we still have to do it.
Justice League.
Yes. The next up is No, I'm just kidding. The next up was pent up aggravation for years and years and years, right? We had been waiting to see it for so long. Luckily, us here at the Pop Culture Corner didn't have to wait as long as a lot of other people. But Zack Snyder's Justice League, guys. I mean, this film. Say what you want about it. It's done so much good. I mean, almost. I can't even. What's the number at for donations? Does anyone know?
It's like
it's gotta be like a quarter. It's gotta be like $750,000 by now.
Right. Yeah. It's somewhere. Right? It has to be.
I would say at least an even mil. I would give it an even mil.
We would know if it was at $1 million. They would have announced that.
I said
it was at a $500,000.
Just guessing.
When they did Justice Con.
Yeah. So, I mean, regardless of the number of the money that it's donated or got donated to suicide prevention, who's got a vacuum on?
It's my sister. Hold on.
It's time to clean the house.
Between Justice and Jack, I mean, it sounds like a train's rolling through the video.
Hey, again, quick shout out to the chat. What up, everyone? We love your interaction in the chat. Keep it coming.
What up, Nerdy? I love that guy. Dawson's great.
Nerdy.
But listen. The Snyder Cut was one of those movies where when I sat down and I watched it, and I literally, I mean, I remember sitting in this room watching it for the first time. I had a smile from ear to ear. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I was having such a fun time. I was listening to Justice in the other room have somewhat of a good time. It was just one of the best.
Very audible.
One of the best experiences of my life was watching this movie, seeing the way it should have been. We all know the history of it and why everyone was so passionate about the real version of the film coming out. For years, we didn't even know if we were ever going to get to see the real Justice League. However, we've now seen it. We've reviewed it. We've talked about it a million times. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
I'll go first. My biggest fear was that the movie was not going to be as good as I built it up in my head.
The WandaVision theory.
Exactly. I thought, remember when I said Man of Steel, he graduated as a director to another tier? I thought with this one, he took it to another level. I think he's matured as a writer, as a director, as a cinematographer. I think there are a lot of lessons that can be taken away from this film because the story itself is very linear plot. It's not like there's many twists and turns like there was with BVS, but he does it so well. I have watched it a couple of times now. Every time it flies by. And I know that I'm a little bit biased as a fan, but like I love the original Ben-Hur. I love Lawrence of Arabia. I love Dr. Zhivago. But when I watch those movies, even Lord of the Rings, like I can feel time pass, even though I'm enjoying it. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is getting long, but I'm still liking it. This movie, when it's over, I'm like, damn, it's only 4 hours.
Yeah.
obviously this was not what would have been released even if Zack had been able to release this version. They probably would have cut it down to 3 hours or something. But I think it's an incredibly well-made film. And I think I think Justice, you said this when we reviewed it, that it showed that he took ideas and kind of focused the film a little bit more than it was for BVS. There's not. I mean, I could go on endlessly, so I'll just stop because I really like this film. I loved it.
Yeah, and I'll go on. I agree. For me, this was 10 times. And I love Batman vs Superman, but this for me was just from beginning to end. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that felt so epic in scale. Even though I didn't even see it in a theater, I think that was what was most surprising. Is from beginning to end, the whole movie just felt epic in scale, in tone, in every. I couldn't. For me. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I know people complain about the length. Give me another hour. I'll take it. I love I love it. I love every second of it, and I think it's a genius movie. It's on level of like Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame for me. It's right up there.
I thought it was better than Endgame.
Better than Endgame.
Infinity War.
It's right under Endgame for me, but very, very, very good.
That is so incredibly excessive. It's good. I enjoyed it. It's good. That's it. Good. It is not even kind of on that scale. It's the first Justice League movie. I would compare it to the first Avengers movie. First Avengers movie is good. What? I like it. But it is not
absolutely
awesome.
Dude, the first Avengers movie is literally iconic. Like, for a different way.
Yes, exactly. For what it did, not because of like the quality, because it's the first of its kind. What it did, it was so well received. But in all actuality, that movie isn't like mind-blowingly excellent. It's a good movie, at the time. And I put Justice League on that same category. It's a good movie, but
Avengers is a good movie.
Infinity War is excellent. Justice League is not on that level.
No. See, now I would argue with that because Infinity War. Now I feel like I'm trashing Infinity War.
You wouldn't even have Endgame and Infinity War if it wasn't for Zack's film.
Yeah, I would.
The story would have been way different. The story would have been.
The cinematography in any of the Avengers movies is not good. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just they don't. The audience is not there for cinematography. They're not even there for style. Joss's style of filming is okay. There's nothing great. The music, the exception of the Avengers music, there's nothing memorable about the music. Every character is jokey. And while that was cute in the first Avengers movie, by the time we got to like Age of Ultron, I was like, okay, guys, there are people dying around you. And that's besides the point. My point is that I would say that this is way better than the first Avengers movie. And I love the first Avengers movie. I think that this had better direction. I think the characters were more distinct. Whereas you had Joss Whedon writing Captain America and Thor and Iron Man, and I felt like he made them all kind of the same in terms of the writing and the visuals. They're okay.
Listen,
I mean,
I'm sorry, guys. Like the MCU, like say what you will, but like they're pioneers. They killed it, and I agree. Zack Snyder's Justice League craps on the first Avengers and on Age of Ultron, but I mean, whether you think so or not, Infinity War and Endgame were the culmination of how many years of filmmaking?
Infinity
That's
War
never been done.
10 years.
I know. I'm not denying that.
Infinity War was amazing. Infinity War was amazing.
I'm gonna have an Infinity War Justice League poster behind me coming up soon.
It's not you
Infinity
two.
War was
it's
great.
not. It's not the two of you. It's arguments that I keep hearing. Everybody's trying to compare Justice League to Infinity War. And like, bro, I'm sorry, it's good. I
do think Justice League compares to Infinity War.
I
can make a strong case that Infinity War is better, but I think it's up there.
I don't even think it's possible. Justice League, DCU story has not even been around long enough, and the movies prior to this were not well received enough to put it up with Infinity War. Everything leading up to Infinity War, with the exception of a handful of movies, are absolutely loved. These characters are loved. People are so excited to see Infinity War and Endgame was such a good conclusion to a story that's been going on for literally 10 years at the time. To compare Justice League to that when we only have 2 movies, not including Suicide Squad or any of that side nonsense, we only have 2 movies leading up to it. I could not even comprehend how you can compare that to what Infinity War
because
was.
I mean,
or
I don't want to
Endgame.
get too much into it, but I would say 95% of the Marvel movies feel the same, with the exception of what the Russo brothers did, what Joss Whedon did with that first film, and what Taika Waititi did, or what the first Iron Man. Yeah, I would say Iron Man. The rest of them, they're not bad movies. I love them. I've seen them. I have them on DVD. I'm sorry, Blu-ray and 4K. But in terms of having a distinct personality on the film, I think you can get lost in the Marvel movies. There's nothing unique or distinct about them until something comes along, like the Winter Soldier or the first Guardians movie. This movie has such a unique stamp on it in terms of style and direction that, yeah, I do compare it to Infinity War, because that's what the Russo brothers did. They kind of reshaped the MCU. I always said the MCU would not be the MCU without the Russo brothers. If there's no Winter Soldier and no Infinity War and Joss Whedon is doing Avengers 3, it would still be big, but it wouldn't be. Go ahead.
Because we've talked about this so much, I'm just going to throw one more point on the table.
Okay.
If this had went down the way it was originally planned to, that original timeline, Zack Snyder's DCEU, if we got that entire story, I have a feeling something similar would be said, in that they all kind of feel the same. They all got the same general look. They all got the same general feel. Because Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League very much feels like that to me. They all have the same general style, tone, look to them. Justice League just happens to be a tad bit better. So I think the only reason you can say that about the MCU and not the DCEU is because Zack Snyder got cut short.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen,
I'll leave it at there. I mean, we could keep going for hours on this.
Yeah.
All day. We spent a month on this.
I think what Marvel and DC both do is they do their own thing, and they do it well.
Yeah.
They do it great. Like
I love that they're separate.
You gotta have the yin and yang. I always bring this up. But even Justice said, when Zack was at the helm of DC, at least you knew what you were getting. Now, not so much. It's all over the place. You could get Birds of Prey or Shazam, or the Joker. It all depends on 3 very
different movies.
Yeah, 3 very different films. And at least with Zack, there was a consistent tone. I think Zack does a great job of storytelling. The story wasn't finished, so it's easy to pick holes or find holes in the story because it's not done. It's like reading a book 3/4 of the way and then reviewing it. It doesn't work that way.
It'd be like if there was no Return of the Jedi, like it ends at Empire and that's it.
Yeah. Right. So for me, the Snyder Cut, it's not number 1. It's not his best movie because it was never going to be. Yeah. It was never going to be his best film. But there's an argument to be made that the next 2 were going to blow your socks off. If we had got those films from the drawings alone, I mean, I was excited reading the drawings for the next 2 Justice Leagues.
Yeah.
I think what was about to happen in that story was going to be just something we've never seen before, and that would have been really fun to experience on the screen. Yeah. Will we ever get to experience that? I don't know. Will there be a world? Is there a world where we're reviewing Zack's films and Justice League 2 is in there? Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I know this. Army of the Dead is coming. He's happy at Netflix.
Yeah.
He's building a universe, and he's building it the way he wants to build it. And he's happy. So I'm happy that he's happy. And I 100%. Cannot wait to see Army of the Dead. I'm jealous that, Austin, you're seeing it, in 2 days, 3 days?
Tomorrow night.
Super jealous, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But yeah, so this film for me lands in at number 3. And it's the top 3, so hard to choose. So, it is what it is. Snyder Cut, glorious. Number 3.
As well.
Austin, how about you?
It's same for me. Same for me.
Okay.
It's number 3. I think actually I might have a little bit of a higher opinion of it than Ty, but it's just where the numbers.
Yeah.
It's the numbers.
Yeah. For me, it's number 2.
Okay.
I only rank BVS slightly higher because I think, whereas Snyder Cut is a pretty conventional story, BVS has so much more going on. Like some people say it's too stuffed, as you were saying, Austin, but I think that's what I like about it, that I can go back and like pick it apart, and analyze the film philosophically, or I can just enjoy it as a popcorn movie. You can do both with that movie, and that's why it's like slightly higher for me than Zack Snyder's Justice League. But I love Snyder Cut. I have to stop myself from watching it. Like that's probably, I would never watch anything if I just kept putting it on. Like talk about the Bad Batch. Oh, let's talk about Snyder Cut again.
I've watched the Snyder Cut probably like 8 times at this point.
Yeah, I think the Snyder Cut is one of the greatest superhero films.
I agree.
If not, it's up there. It's up there with,
and it's his best reviewed movies, first fresh rating since 300. Critics like it too.
And the backing that it had behind it, the good it did for suicide prevention. Just when you talk about the Snyder Cut, it's just positive stuff, right? Everything was positive about it, including that Rotten Tomatoes score, baby. I thought it deserved maybe 10 points higher than what it got. At least 10 points higher.
I think the audience gave it, though. The audience let people know.
What did the audience give it, Jack?
It's funny you said Jack, because my dad keeps calling Zack Snyder Jack Schneider.
Can you say it in his voice?
The director, Jack Schneider.
I love the Pakistani voice that you do. It's one of my
94.
It's one of my favorites.
94 audience score.
94 audience score, baby. And what did the critics give it? 70 something?
I think it's 71. 71. It's 71 at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I would have given that at least an 81.
I agree with you.
At least an 80, 81.
See, for me, it's a 9 out of 10. I love that freaking movie.
That's why I say at least, because
Strange 90.
I could see where they're, but then they give films like Winter Soldier a 90%. You can't tell me that Winter Soldier is 90, and then on that same scale, Zack Snyder's Justice League is a 70.
75.
But they gave like Captain Marvel a 90 also. So.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Is that true? Because I have a hard time.
Let me double check.
Nobody liked Captain Marvel.
Yeah. No, they gave Captain Marvel. They gave Captain Marvel. Well, dude, they gave Black Panther a 90. That movie's terrible.
All right, that's all right. Enough of that. Guys, thank you so much.
Okay, Captain Marvel has dropped to 79. Okay.
Wow, you said Black Panther.
That sounds correct.
Black Panther is a bad movie. Black Panther's a bad movie. That CGI is a mess.
I'll just say this. CGI. Black Panther was the greatest cinematic achievement of all time, only to be beaten by Ta-Nehisi Coates' Superman. It is both stunning and beautiful.
You got that with the CGI. Black Panther's CGI is bad.
It's a mess. The best part about the movie was Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace.
May he rest in peace.
You know I love you, baby. You know I love you. But listen, your Black Panther was so much better in Civil War.
Better writer.
I don't know why you let them do that to you, because you were so much more compelling in Civil War than you were in your own solo film. The best part about your solo film was the villain.
And see, I thought that the other guy was a better villain. What was his name? The guy with the hand. Gets killed halfway through.
Ulysses Claw.
Ulysses Claw. Yeah, I was like, dude, that's so much more interesting.
And then
they
killed him.
My mixtape. I'm like,
and then they killed him. And they killed him in the first Black Panther movie. Listen, I'll tell you this right now. It has nothing to do with the cast. It has nothing to do with who directed it or what their skin color was. For me, all that is pigmentation on where you live on the earth. Right? And where your ancestors lived. Has nothing to do with anything. So before anyone calls race out, I don't see skin color as a legitimate thing where one race, the human race.
I hired all 3 of us, or 2 of us.
Yep. I brought everyone in here. I literally
And
brought
half of
Justice in
Justice.
too. Yeah. Listen, I don't see that shit, and I don't play that game either.
Yeah, we don't.
Black Panther is not a good movie. It was good because of the cast is all black. I love it, right? That's great. You did that achievement, because Hollywood has a problem.
Yeah.
We're gonna
However,
have to do a video where you need to break it down point by
tell me
point.
that it's a good movie.
Doctor
'cause it's
Strange
not.
was better than Black Panther.
I need to hear point by point because I want to come at you with point by point why it's a great movie.
Absolutely. You made me do it
But
for
you
BBS.
need to, I don't want to hear like, just I don't like it because it's a copy of this or whatever. Like point by point, why is it cinematically? Why is it a bad movie?
It's really not.
That's what I want to hear.
Let's save that for another quick tip in the future.
Yeah, that's gonna be for another. But I'll
go toe to toe with you on it.
And I'll back you up. I like the movie, but I'm like, yeah.
It's overrated. It's basically live action Lion King.
Because it's probably
the fact that was nominated for Best Picture. I'm like,
it's live action.
The story is literally the Lion King. Are you kidding me?
Jack, do you have
Are you
complaints
kidding me,
with
dude?
this
It's literally the Lion King.
What, do I have complaints? Oh yeah, I have plenty of complaints about
Tell me
so
it's not the Lion King.
We'll do that. Austin, it's me and you against them. Black Panther is not bad. No, damn right well, it's not bad.
Nerdy in many ways knows too, baby.
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
All right.
Yeah, I know it. Let's do it, baby.
Tyler, just for optics, we might need a black person on our side too. Just so like we don't get called.
Already a step back.
And by the way, Justice is half white. So
Justice is, and I'm half black, so it's all good.
There you go.
No, listen,
I can see through you.
Listen. Justice is as black as a hoodsie, all right? So
a hoodsie?
Yeah, it's the black and white ice cream in a cup.
Oh.
You're only half black, so but again, skin color and race has nothing to do with why the movie's not good to me.
But the other people make
and I'm not saying that.
Okay, I want to clarify that again. I'm not saying. Look, I thought Chadwick did great in the film.
But this is the last thing I'll say about it because we do need to wrap up. But I argue that skin color is a good thing. Why it makes the movie better, not because they're black, but because of the African culture that comes with it. And they built a whole culture of Wakanda from the ground up and gave it actual culture, and they have history and story and all kinds of stuff. I absolutely adored that.
You see, I needed more. I needed another movie. I needed another movie to tell me about the history of Wakanda before they made Black Panther, so I could have appreciated it more.
What?
I'm making fun of Austin and his Batman argument.
I was like, what? That's making sense.
I'm taking notes. I got that down. I'll remember that. I'll take notes.
I
all good. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, it's completely irrelevant argument because Wakanda is a place and not a character, even though everybody says it's a character, which is now what they're going to make it. So now you're going to get Wakanda stuff. So technically, I'm still validified. So thanks, Jack. Anyway, shout out to the chat.
I like Shuri,
the best for tuning in. Adam, Nick, Billy. Shout out to Phoenix Movie Dog's son.
Here we go.
Is Austin an S? I don't even know.
Yo, I'm dead.
Adam, let it go.
No. Oh my God.
I don't even know what that means.
You're a social justice warrior.
No, it's not.
No, he's not.
Social justice warrior.
Austin's an SJW.
No, let's not go there.
Yeah,
I'll take that. I'll take that.
No. Guys.
It's better than the opposite.
Let's I need to tally this up. Here's our last words from our We are brought to you today by Showcase Cinemas Deluxe. Right now, Mortal Kombat is in theaters, and we were live from inside the theater for all-day coverage of the film on April 23rd. Make sure to get out and support your local theaters now. See these larger-than-life movies the way they were intended, on the largest screen possible. Showcase offers X+, which is their large premium format theater. Not only do you see and hear the film, but you become a part of it as well. Find out where your local Showcase Cinemas is by heading to their website, www.showcasecinemas.com. Again, that's www.showcasecinemas.com, or by clicking the link in the description below. Remember, be Showcase safe. Showcase has implemented several protocols to ensure that your focus remains on the film, not on the pandemic, including new ventilation systems in each theater to ensure proper airflow, sanitizer on every wall, and so much more. Enjoy the movie the way it was meant to be, with a night out to the theater.
I just want to say this person needs to learn to spell.
This actually came out really like easily.
Mm-hmm.
This was like every single one's pretty like there was no ties, basically, put it that way. Because what I did was each one of us had a score. I averaged that score out.
Right.
So you divide it by 4. The total added up by 4, and it comes out to a number like kind of like 4.5, yada yada. So this list goes as follow. Drum roll, please. Number 8 is. Can anyone take a guess?
Legends of
Legends of the Owls of the Gahools.
Yes.
Legends of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Legends came in at number 8. Let me get one picture of the Legends up there. All right, so number 8, Legends.
Look how cute.
Drum roll, please. Number 7. It's kind of hard to like go back and forth and find the picture.
Yeah, right. Should my drum roll be longer next time?
Sucker Punch. Number 7. I think that was pretty
definitive.
That was universally like interchangeable. Number 6.
Austin, you got to keep doing the drum roll.
I thought that was a given by now.
My bad.
Watchmen.
Oh, that was number 6. Okay.
Oh no, I screwed up.
Whoa! Back it up, baby.
300.
Okay.
Number 6 was 300. Sorry about that. My God, that sucks. Number 5. Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, Dawn of the Dead outdid 300. All right.
Okay.
Interesting.
Number 4.
Boom.
BVS.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how Watchmen got beat up by that, but we'll take it.
How did that happen? Because me and
I was nerdy. Watchmen at
listen,
6 is heresy.
Watchmen, I took it back, remember? Watchmen
that's
hasn't
right.
been...
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
I apologize.
And Watchmen wasn't my
up.
number 1.
Okay.
It wasn't even my top 3. So I think that,
Okay.
Come on.
But it definitely deserves higher than 6.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Oh my goodness.
No, wait,
What happened?
I just, it's confusing me. Okay. I got it. I got it now. I got it.
I got to keep on moving.
What number was that? 4? Yeah, that was number 4.
5.
No,
Yes,
number
4.
3.
Sorry.
Number 3.
Watch.
Where is it here? Dude, I have so many pictures here. Number 3 is the
Oh, really? Wow, huh? Interesting. Really? Oh, wow. Watchmen's at the top, huh?
Number 2.
Boom.
Man of Steel.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. I'll take
Yeah.
that.
Leaving.
Yeah, I put Man of Steel pretty high on the list.
The number 1 Zack Snyder film as the incredible Watchmen. Yep.
Nice.
So,
good. I think that's very deserving.
Yep.
Very.
I think that was a good list, actually, man.
Yeah.
So I'll give you it out just so you can know the averages. So the averages, Dawn of the Dead got 4.5. 300 got 4.75. Watchmen had a 2.5, which was because 2 of us scored it at 1 and 2 scored it at 4. That's 10 divided by 4. You get it. You get what I'm saying.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Legend averaged out at, I could just tell it was where it was. So it was 8, 16, 24, 24 plus 7, which is whatever. Sucker Punch and Guardians both had similar scores, but Sucker Punch had a 7.25. Legends had 3 8s. Sucker Punch had 3 7s. So you can obviously do that math out.
Right.
Okay, so that's why Legends came in at 8. Sucker Punch came in at 7. Man of Steel had a 3.25. BVS had a 3.75. Snyder Cut had 3.5, and Watchmen had 2.5. So that's why Watchmen won. Okay.
All right.
If anyone's confused, run it back. I'm not saying it ever again.
Run the numbers, all right? This wasn't a stolen election.
But yeah, so I mean that was pretty fun actually. It's a weird way to rank things, but I actually had
I
fun.
like that.
You get to debate it. So the number one, our pop culture corner, the number one Snyder film was Watchmen, which I think we all agree that that's a great film. And you know, I know it's my number one. I know it's Austin's number one. No.
Yep. It is my number one. It is.
So, the guys who added at 4, you know, that is what it is, but we can all agree that it's a great film. That's just how the averages worked out. But listen, that was a really fun time, man. Really fun time.
Yeah, that was a blast.
Thank you guys for joining us for Quick Dip, baby. That's how we do around here. That was by no means a quick dip, but you know, we're here. It's Wednesday, so it's Quick Dip.
Yeah,
that was a long swim.
And it was fun though.
If you like this, we did several ranking videos in the past. Austin and I just did a ranked all of the live action Batmans. We have also done video games. You know, Jack and Justin have done a couple things with video games. And I know that Austin and I did the next top 10 films that are coming out into theaters. So if you had fun watching this, then maybe check out one of those great videos as well and keep your night rolling with the Pop Culture Corner. Guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future uploads, guys. Become a Patreon of the corner. For only $5, you get access to all 4 of us whenever you need us. Behind the scenes content, outtakes, yada yada. The list goes on and on and on. With that being said, though, we do it for you, and that train that's rolling through right now is Justice. Can anyone else?
Yeah, that's right. Big Trip, baby. Yeah. That's me. Right. That's just me. That's my heart throbbing because I'm so passionate.
Yeah, there we go.
I love you.
He's so passionate.
I love you. No, I'm talking about our audience. I hate PBS. I love you. I love our audience. I love that you guys are in the chat all the time. I love that you guys interact with us. I love that you pay us money every month to keep doing our thing. We appreciate you truly, and everything we do is for you, for the culture.
Oh, come on.
Oh, you for sure. You outroed him. I was like, oh man.
Nah, I was just playing with you. I'm sorry.
I'm very. What was that? Nothing happened. What happened? I didn't see anything.
I dropped the outro on you because you were going on a little too long.
What are you talking about? I said good night.
All right.
I'm very confused.
Good night, folks.